Now we switch to a sine wave, and what I want to show you here, let's manage the second channel by pressing the second channel's menu button. It's gone. Okay, so let's press the measure. So we got the measure out. This is still roughly the same thing with about 0 minimum and 5 volt maximum. And here is my trigger level again. Let's see if I increase the trigger level, what happens to my waveform. Okay. It kind of moves, right? That's because if I increase the trigger level, then I have to trigger at a slightly later, a higher voltage, right? So the trigger level will actually cause when it is going to get triggered, right? So that still is important. And here we also have this knob I haven't introduced, is the horizontal knob. It changes the time when you start plotting. So most of the time you want to see the triggered arrow, pointing down arrow within your view, so you know where things get triggered. All right, and that's that knob there. So let's see, cursor. Okay, cursor is right here. So if you want to measure the voltage and the time, you can turn on a cursor. So say if you want to change the type of cursor to amplitude, and you want to find the cursor source from channel 1. Okay, here's channel 1. Cursor 1, cursor 2. So where are the cursors? Well, you have this light lit, right? So you can actually move the cursor now. And you can see there's a reading of the voltage on the cursor. You can actually move that cursor, and you can display the voltage here. Okay, you can also what you can do is you can press the cursor 2. You can move the other cursor, and the other cursor will display independently, but there's also a difference in voltage here. I was just setting my cursor here, my cursor there, so the difference is actually about 2 vertical divisions, which is 1 volt each, so I get a 2 volt here. But you can certainly do something a bit more meaningful to measure voltages. And if you turn this into time, see here, you're actually tracing the time. There's a little cross here that is on the plot. So as you're moving, I'm actually moving cursor 2 at the moment. I have a time here, 290 milliseconds. That is since the triggered down arrow of 290 milliseconds. I also have the accompanying voltage, 4.36. So I can basically look through my voltages as I go. What time before or after the triggering is this? And I can also switch to the cursor 1, I can do that. If I want to do, say, I want to measure the rough period, although I know I can display the period in the measure menu, I can place one cursor on the top right here, and I can move the other cursor on the top of the next wave here. So I get a delta t equal to 1.01 millisecond. That's a 1 millisecond for 1k hertz, right? 1 over delta E is 990 hertz. And also delta V here is almost 0, so about the same height in voltage, right? So you can turn it off if you don't really want it. You can push measure just to go back to measure some overalls. You can measure maximum, minimum. You can measure frequency periods and such, right? There's quite a few things you can measure. So then the next thing is actually the save and the recall. So what you can do here is, because you have a flash drive port here, and this particular multimeter, not multimeter, this particular scope doesn't have the updated firmware, so it cannot really take anything greater than 2 gigabytes of a flash drive. That's a ridiculously small amount, right? So we're not going to use that feature, but we can still display how to do that. So here is a save and a recall button. So you can press that, and the action, you want to make sure the action is save all. So you can also cycle through it. Save image, yeah, it's useful, but we want numbers. If you just want to save the setup, all of the settings, and save the waveform in data, or recall something. So I want to say save all. And this print button actually does the save all feature, and you can select folder if you want. Right now it's pointing to the scope's internal folder, and you can change folder, and okay, it actually is looking for flash drive. It doesn't really have an internal folder, I suppose. So anyway, you can do that, and then if you press here, you're just going to save it. And it says please insert a USB flash drive into the scope. So if you have that flash drive, you'll be able to save a copy of everything, and you can use that to do your further analysis. All right, thank you.